Sam Cedar is repeating his talking points back to Ethan because he very clearly brainwashed him, like he brainwashed Ludwig, like he brainwashed the New York Times, like he brainwashed CNN. Hasan controls the media. Everything I think about is Hasan. Hasan is in control of everything. The other day I stubbed my toe. It was also Hasan. Hasan placed the couch there. The couch didn't used to be like that. Hasan must have done it. Now, the reason why this is important to talk about also is because Ethan brought it up in the conversation. Ethan brought it up in the conversation with Sam, where he was he appeared like a fool. Okay, on numerous. I'm going to go through some of these remarks that took place in the debate recap and review. Most importantly, just like the stuff that pertains to like misinformation. Okay. Some of you may know this already. Some of you probably watched it yesterday, but Sam Cedar, Uncle Sam, talked to Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein had by my estimation, I think Ethan wanted to talk to Uncle Sam Cedar, because he personally thought that they would have a lot of agreements that he would then turn around and use against me in a conversation that would take place tomorrow. But it didn't go down the way he thought it would go down because, of course, Sam Cedar does not agree with Ethan on the issue of Israel-Palestine and agrees with me on the issue of Palestine. He tried to use a bunch of snippets and clips to try to get Sam to say, you're wrong, you're bad, whatever, Hasan is wrong, Hasan is bad. And Sam didn't eat the bait. Here is one funny clip from it. Here, we'll start off with this. That kind of shows exactly how this took place.
Fortunately, whatever Sam's been peppered with before the debate I've seen is his co-hosts telling him that I'm obsessed with Hasan, which is kind of my problem with Hasan. We don't even have to talk about Hasan. Basically, if you ask Hasan or a lot of people on the left, I'm being characterized by Hasan and a lot of his cohorts, a hugely influential political streamer like Hasan. My criticisms of Hasan. The thing he's doing, by the way, and Hasan is... Listen, I know we're arguing here about semantics of what Hasan said. Hasan pretty much like openly supports Hamas.
Let's not talk about Hasan.
One thing that when I was talking to Hasan, this is what Hasan told me.
So yeah, it was a lot of Hasan. I'm glad that he really proved to Sam Cedar that he was not obsessed. This conversation, for those of you who don't know, was supposed to be about Israel and Palestine. This conversation was just about it was supposed to be about, Sam Cedar's perspective, perspective on Israel-Palestine, and Ethan's perspective on Israel-Palestine, and maybe some of the disagreements that they had or some of the agreements that they had. Okay? But of course, because his focus on this matter is so incredibly narrow and so self-centered that, yes, he still used this as an opportunity to be like, look at these clips. First, he started off the conversation by talking about, by showing a clip that was supposed to reveal his perspective, his current perspective on Israel-Palestine. The clip, of course, he used was from Leftovers, from the first episode that we had after October 7, 2023. In that clip, he did say a bunch of things that were very pro-Palestine, that were correct, that was incredibly critical of Israel. That was part of the reason why I had thought that while Ethan might be a somewhat of a liberal Zionist, ultimately his his heart was in the right place, and that he was amenable to seeing my position on the matter. I was wrong, but that was also part of the reason why I thought that he was, on board with talking about Israel's cruelty. And the reason why I said, I don't care about what Ethan is saying. That's the reason why I defended him for almost an entire year. Okay. As you guys know, there's like a 8-minute compilation of me where chatters are constantly bringing up shit that he's saying. And I'm going, I don't care about Ethan. There's a going on. Lock in. Who cares? Okay. There is that long video. Let me see if I can find it. I'll just show it to you. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Is this the one? Hold on. Is it? What is this? Oh, here. This is from Scarabell. Hold on. Starts off with Ethan Klein claims
Ethan is a mega Zionist. You are wrong. Okay. Trust me. I don't think you know. I don't think you know many Zionists if you think Ethan is a mega Zionist. Not even close, dude. Time and time again, I've spoken about how Ethan is not your enemy. A person who cries when a Palestinian child dies is not your enemy. Okay? He's not. I've said these exact words over and over again. I told people in this community and people everywhere that will listen to what I have to say that you have to choose who you are actually angry at. There are people who are so loud and so proud about the ethnic cleansing campaign that Palestinians are experiencing currently. Go yell at them. He's been shitting on you on his members-only streams. I don't care. I don't care. Bro literally shot on you yesterday and his coworker for saying from the river to the sea, sorry, dog. I don't care. I do not care. This is petty drama, okay? I don't care. And neither should you, okay? I will always...
This is Biden talking about Netanyahu? No, this isn't Biden talking about Netanyahu. Okay, I'm explaining, like, it's very obvious. I'm explaining to you my position right here and right now. Listen to my words. Okay, just listen to what I am saying. When did it stop becoming petty drama? It stopped becoming petty drama when Ethan actively started taking scalps. When he started going after pro-Palestinian content creators and getting them fucking banned. On November 1st, 2023, I was way more focused on, as you can see from the details in front of me from the Times of Israel article I was reading, that I was way more focused on the actual issues, the actual that was taking place. Okay? And I don't even think that was messed up of me to do. That was what my focus was. And I think it was the appropriate thing to focus on. Part of the reason why I thought it was irrelevant what Ethan Klein was saying at that point was because, like, he's just another random content creator and he wasn't occupying this space as someone who is, like, consistently defending Israel. I thought, foolishly, that he still was an open-minded individual, that he was actually going to have a change. That was my assessment.
Stand by Ethan's ability to empathize and want to learn and want to change his perspective. Okay? That's it.
It's
ultimately,
telling that Ethan never showed this clip compilation to show how pro-Palestine he is because it shows you were defending him when he was smearing you. Yes.
Ethan has the capacity to arrive at a meaningful position because he has empathy for Palestinian people. He is literally better on this circumstance.
He was never an open-minded individual. He was like this before Leftovers. Why are you in chat surprised? I didn't think so. I was wrong on that. I think that there was a point in time when he was an open-minded person.
This issue, then 99% of, like, Americans who are ultra-Zionists, okay? I'm not saying the entire country is ultra-Zionist, but, like, 99% of Americans in the media and 99% of Americans in position of power that literally are just, like, unconditional support to Israel. Shut the f up. I've always demonstrated that until it reaches a boiling point, that I will always be kind to those around me that I believe I can communicate with, that I can lead by empathy, okay? This has been my policy in perpetuity. You know this if you've been in here long enough. I tried with Aiden Ross, okay? And Ethan is not Aiden Ross. I think he will inevitably come around. Ethan is my friend. I think he's an empathetic person, and I hope that is clear. No one, like, changing your perspective on an issue that is, like, near and dear.
This is, by the way, this is 7 minutes and 34 seconds long. You need to understand something. The reason why I think it's so disingenuous and how much of a might want to move your camera to cover those notifications before someone says some fuck shit, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Why did you even bring that up? God damn it. Now someone is going to say some fuck shit. God damn it, chatter. God damn it. Oh, sometimes you guys need to understand you're basically signaling to bad faith actors to operate in that way by saying shit like that. I hope you know that. I shouldn't have read it. It's my fault. Okay. My point was, it is crazy that he tries to claim to his audience that I was consistently attacking him from the jump. It is so wild that that is like a major motivator for him. A major motivator for him is this idea that, like, my community was constantly attacking him and I was constantly attacking him and it was being done in an anti-Semitic fashion. When in fact, this is what I was doing this whole time. I don't think a single Ethan Klein fan has seen this in the past year. As a fan of H3 until yesterday, I could say that the discussion with Sam was a bridge too far. I'm no longer a subscriber of his, and I'm no longer an enlightened centrist. Oh my God. He lost Headband, the one guy who was constantly saying, I'm still a fan of you both. I'm still a fan of you both, but I'm officially done with H3 after hearing him be so heartless and inconsiderate to the Palestinians. The problem is, like, I don't want to leave him because he's like, this isn't my goal. Okay. My goal isn't to get people to stop watching him. My goal is to get him to stop pumping pro-Israel propaganda. Stop saying things that are in defense of Israel. Okay? That's my goal. That's what I care about. I don't care. I don't care what else he does. Okay? And the irony is, stop attacking people, HasanAbi Jesus. Wait, what? Who am I attacking? What are you saying? All of this is additionally crazy because chatters in here were giving you grief for not covering what Ethan was saying. Exactly. I think it comes from him perceiving your criticism of Israel and Israelis as him taking a personal attack on him and his family directly. It's like he can't make the situation about himself. Yes, this is defense of him is exactly what he expected from Ian. I guess you're a different case, huh? Yeah, but I did this. I did this for so fucking long. I did this for so goddamn long because I, one, thought at most this was irrelevant and it would pass and Ethan would actually come to his senses. Ear to your fucking heart is virtually impossible. It's one of the hardest things you can do. I will forever have respect for him for doing that on his own, okay? Everything that people say cynically he did to like win favors with a larger crowd. Fuck that. He did it on his own. Yes, you want to know why I know he did it on his own? Okay. You want to know why I know he did it on his own? Because look at the situation. He has family in Israel. He is absolutely shaped. Like his worldview is shaped by this experience. And instead of just like writing off every single thing that people have said and very comfortably finding himself in the bosom of like Zionist sentiment, which he could have just as easily done. He could have just turned around and been like, yeah, fuck this shit. I'm scared. These people are being anti-Semitic. And there is a lot of anti-Semitism that increases in times like this. That much is absolutely true. Instead of fucking turning around and being like, fuck that, he's like trying to tackle it head on and go through the internal conflict, internal struggle that he feels with his own personal experience, with his own personal worldview and his morality and the way that he sees it from what he perceives as a completely hostile audience. And you need to, as a community, also stop fucking ripping into Ethan nonstop. As I've said it over and over again, leading up to the conversation that we had on this broadcast. You guys are so fucking stupid for doing that. You are. And it frustrates me to no fucking end. I've told you this time and time again in this time frame, just like I kept telling you, Ethan is not your enemy over and over again. That's why I love iDubbbz, Ethan as well, people that have actually changed course, recognize their mistakes in the past, and now advocate against those sorts of things. I think, for the record, obviously I don't stand by these opinions now. Hindsight is 2020, but you need to understand something. This is a principled, empathetic stance that I maintain when I'm talking to every single person. And all of your, oh, we were right and you were wrong attitude here is not going to change me from the way I deal with this stuff, okay? I'm just not going to do, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop giving people the benefit of the doubt, the benefit of the doubt. God damn, I can't even fucking talk. I'm not going to stop because I'm not going to stop when it comes to a random chatter. I'm not going to stop when it comes to other content creators with massive audiences. The reason why I'm not going to stop is because there are plenty of instances where people do have their minds changed. Okay? You don't see that. You don't hear about it because it doesn't make the news. It doesn't turn into a massive problem. There is, of course, a point of no return. And I think that we're way past that. You underestimate the resentment that grew after Leftovers ended and he lost a significant portion of his fan base. He blames you. I know he does. I know that now. I did not think that someone who I had a podcast with, a political podcast with, would be so selfish as to basically blame his former podcast co-host for his own exodus of his own audience that he had cultivated, he had developed. He had developed with a progressive mindset in mind. But remember, the reason why I won't stop being charitable to people and assume that they can change until it becomes like very apparent that they won't, and I have a much higher, I have a much higher standard for that than most other people, is because my entire job revolves around the assumption that everyone is redeemable, that everyone's minds can be changed. That's it. And I hope to lead by example on that front as well. I want you to also take that attitude to your own personal relationships with other people that don't agree with you. That's it. Are very valuable because every single person has a reactionary perspective deep down inside on one issue. We are all totally. I don't think there's a point of no return even for Ethan. Yes, of course there isn't, like, on principle, I don't believe that there is a point of no return. But of course, I have to switch tactics. This is the same principle behind, I want people to come in here and learn. There are some people who are genuinely curious, and then there are some people who use the, I'm just genuinely curious, to shit stir. Okay? While I do think that every single troll that comes in here could be redeemed, could be talked to, and you could change their minds, sometimes in the interest of stopping reactionary sentiment dead in its tracks, yes, I will fucking clap back. Do you understand? It doesn't mean that doesn't mean that I couldn't, if I chose to and spend enough time and enough effort, change people's minds. But, you know, I have a limited amount of time. I have a finite amount of time and space here. So, of course, I'm going to use that in the ways that I see are most efficient. It's embarrassing to admit now, but I would watch his podcast every day and tune into your stream after he made the heel turn. He just completely turned me off with his attitude. He just can't put the mirror up to his face and confront his own demons. Acceptable to the intersectionality of privilege. Privilege causes us to have blind spots. Ethan is my friend. We may have disagreements every now and then, but I have maintained the position that his heart is always in the right place, and he's on a journey of learning. Every single day I went live in the beginning, every single day I would spend at least 5 minutes to 30 minutes talking about how Ethan is not your enemy. You should not yell at Ethan. Ethan is a good person. Be more charitable to those who are open. And I think another big thing is you get clip chimped a lot. And if you made snap judgments on people, you would be as bad as the audience who listens to what they say about you with no charity. That too, for sure. As someone who is the recipient of bad faith attacks and clip chimping, consistent clip chimping, yes, I definitely have a lot more charity for random content creators who I don't know the extent of their opinion. Ethan wasn't your friend. Ethan is your enemy. Ethan isn't a good person. Hindsight. I'm not in agreement with my assessment here. Okay. I'm saying that for the time and place, the reason why I had charity was because I thought that remember, at this point, he's just making snide remarks. I'm not fully aware of all the shit that he's saying, and I'm purposely not even paying attention to what he's saying because I feel like there's more important things at hand. Okay. But obviously there is a change that takes place before. This is on February 23rd, 2024. You're looking at this with hindsight vision. Many of you are already aware of Ethan's ways, I guess. But I'm trying to explain to you that, like, at that point, I just didn't think that it was all that significant. But around October, I think, of last year, this tunes up. This turns into a massive harassment campaign and susceptible to your opinions. Every single day. I'm still friends with Ethan, by the way. I still talk to Ethan every day. Every single day. Throughout the stream. Just say Ethan is a fucking idiotic take. Ethan and I obviously have disagreements on this stuff, but Ethan has also personally said it isn't apartheid. What the fuck do you want? As a dude who did go on Birthright, he is infinitely more progressive than, you know, a lot of these people that are writing these fucking, a lot of these people that are writing these letters and shit, okay? Please, stop fucking yelling about Ethan all the time. Jesus Christ. Time and time again, I told my adult community to shut the fuck up about Ethan. I even banned the mention of Ethan in this community, and I think still to this day, it is banned. The idea that I did not try to genuinely scale back the harassment that Ethan was experiencing is ridiculous.
How you do PR for Ethan Klein, who's a Zionist? You do PR for Ethan Klein, who's a Zionist. How can you tell her not to defend a Zionist when you defend Ethan Klein, who's openly Zionist?
What the fuck?
Are you okay? Ethan Klein called Israel an apartheid state in, I think, 2021. Okay? He has been very critical of the state of Israel and has even called it an apartheid state far before October 7. Okay? I personally don't even care if he's like calling me out or whatever. I heard that like people were saying that Ethan talked about me on his podcast today or some shit like that. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. For me, you know what I do care about? Ethan considering what Israel's doing to be genocidal far before October 7th. Okay? I do care about that. I think that that matters, especially when he is so close to the subject matter, so close to the different aspects of social conditioning that play a pretty prominent role in the development of American Jews, who are very progressive people overall. Okay? I don't care. No matter what he says about me, my community, or my mods, I still firmly believe, okay? I still firmly believe that regardless of everything else, regardless of how he's responded to people yelling at him online, regardless of all of that, I place a lot more emphasis and a lot more value on those things that he has said. There's very real anti-Semitism directed towards him, directed towards Hila, directed towards Jewish people across the board, and that fucking terrifies him. And I think that there's a real element there. For a lot of Jewish people especially, like, yeah, they see anti-Semitism rising, and if at any point do they actually associate criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism, and people like Dan Bilzerian play a fucking formative role in people assuming that all people who criticize Israel are just like him, they're like fucking Holocaust deniers or whatever, yeah, you're gonna freak the fuck out. He's got Jewish children, you know what I mean? He doesn't want him to grow up in a fucking anti-Semitic country. Yeah, that was that's December 15th, 2024. And if you noticed, I started recognizing that he was like doing Hasbara. And that assessment still hasn't changed in terms of like what his primary motivators are. Because I think he mistakes real anti-Semitism with anti-Zionist commentary that he's received, criticism that he's received that is actually valid. We out protesting. Where you at, buddy? Why are you dressed like a Miami club promoter? What the fuck? This is not... Miami club promoters wear cardigans? I think that's far too charitable still. Sure, you might think it's far too charitable, and that's fine. This doesn't make what he's doing right. I'm just giving you background. I think ultimately it still stems from narcissism, ego, an inability to admit wrongdoing, an interest in generating controversy and clicks around an issue, no matter how serious the subject matter is. No interest in actually thinking about the humanity and livelihood of all of the people that he is trying to actively ruin the lives of, even if they were friends of his or fans of his at some point. All of that are major motivators here. All of that plays a big role here. But it still doesn't change the reality that like there is part of this madness started off with a wrong interpretation or a wrong conflation of like anti-Semitic attacks that he has received throughout his career, and the assumption that like his fan base was leaving him because they were simply not seeing the world from the way that he sees it. And it's not because he was, it's just like, he thinks that he said all the right things. Why do you hate me? Why does my progressive fan base hate me? I said all the right things about Israel, and I'm a Jew. It must be because I'm a Jew that you hate me. I think he genuinely believes that. And he's just fucking wrong. And it doesn't matter what he believes ultimately, because what matters is his output. What matters is what he has done with the limited amount of time that he has online. And I think it's gross. The way he's used the limited time he has online is gross. Going after all of the pro-Palestinian content creators is gross. Consistently spreading misinformation about the history of Israel or the way that Israel currently exists is a defense of Israel, which is a genocidal state that is an apartheid state on a good day. It's morally repugnant. I do not agree with it, and I will not agree with it. Yes, I'm eating tawuk. Bro, you had patience and patience of a state towards Ethan and his crew while you were defending him for a year where he was conspiring with a certain community to ruin your and other pro-Palestinian content creators' careers. I admire your charitable nature. I just think it was frustrating for us who was watching his streams, that's all. Yeah, but I wasn't watching his streams. And you could have just stopped watching his streams. Meanwhile, I guess this is what Ethan's take was while I was saying these things.
Everybody wins. Everybody wins. That's me. I just want everybody to win. Except Hasan. I want him to lose everything.
I need that's what was giving me pause.
Oh, yeah. Not Hasan. Everybody, not you.
He's part of everybody, but yeah.
Even now, I don't care. Like I still say I don't want Ethan to lose everything. I just want him to be. I just want him to stop doing what he's doing. You know, I want him to stop going after pro-Palestinian content creators. I want him to stop representing a false reality about Israel. You talking about Hasan with Felix when Ethan was continuing the drama slop? His name is Hasan Shabbat. Kind of insane to play sound bites of another person every 5 minutes, every 5 seconds. Yeah. In any case, the reason why I brought that up is because it's just an abject lie that he presents. And it's on a silly thing, you know, silly. It's silly to lie about such a thing. And it's very easy it's very easy to comprehend that it is a lie. Right? That part is probably good for all of the drama-obsessed stans. The drama-obsessed stans might see that and go, okay, maybe I was wrong about the way Ethan has characterized this on. But that's irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. What's more relevant is how Ethan carried himself in this conversation. During the conversation, he starts talking to Sam Cedar and wants to, like, the final culmination during his piece de resistance, as Gato Fumador says, to finally give us Sam Cedar of Hasan Piker's virulent anti-Semitism, Ethan Klein bizarrely insists on repeatedly misquoting the clip he just received seconds earlier. Also, the idiom refers to the local dog catcher, not a dog walker.
So let me show you an example of something. And again, I know you don't care about the drama. To me, this isn't drama. This is one of the biggest, most influential streamers spreading something that I think is really dangerous. And you can agree or disagree, but it's a short clip, but I'll show it to you. And you tell me what you think.
This will never happen, but in a totally just world, any kind of, regardless of your background, any kind of fucking Zionist tendency should be treated in the same way as being a fucking rabid neo-Nazi. And you shouldn't even let someone be the fucking local dog catcher as Felix was posting, if they've ever exhibited any sort of like positive feelings about the state of Israel. I'm so serious about this.
Now, by the way, he didn't misspeak. He doubled down on it yesterday. He said, no, I agree. That's what I think. Now, just to recap, he says, anyone that's had positive feelings at any point about the state of Israel is a neo-Nazi that's not fit to be a dog walker. Now, to me, that seems like extremely dangerous, dehumanizing language about what could...
Like, I don't know why he keeps saying dog walker. It's an old idiom. Not fit to be elected to local dog catcher is an old idiom. Did I say at any point? I mean, I might have, but even then, like my statement here is not like, oh, if you were pro-Israel at any point, you can't fucking be in office. Like, I don't give a shit about what you thought in the past. That's not who I am. As Felix was posting, if they've ever exhibited any sort of like, oh yeah, no, I say if they've ever exhibited any sort of, no, I did not say at any point in their lives.
Now, just to recap, he says, anyone that's had positive feelings at any point about the state of Israel is a neo-Nazi that's not fit to be a dog walker. Now, to me, that seems like extremely dangerous, dehumanizing, could arguably be 70% of the Jewish diaspora, and certainly probably people you know in your family.
I'll tell you, there's some hyperbole there, but
that's putting it mildly.
I mean, he says
it took at any point to mean their entire lives. I mean, it's so stupid. It doesn't matter. And Sam is correct. It is, of course, hyperbole. My point is not that if you loved Israel at a certain point, you shouldn't be hired. That's idiotic. Ironically enough, Sam is correct. It is, of course, hyperbole. But he is trying to extract anti-Semitism out of that statement when that is not the case. My argument is pretty obvious here, especially considering that when he is lasering in on, at any point, he means at any point. He means like if you're a Jew, you can't get a job at all. You should be fired from your job. He's saying Hitlerian bullshit. And yet, for some reason, he doesn't have that hyper focus on the semantics where I said it doesn't matter what your background is. There are more Zionists, as Sam also correctly points out, there are more Zionists in the evangelical Christian movement than there are Jews, Zionist and anti-Zionist alike. My argument is not about Jews. My argument is about people who demonstrate positive attitudes towards the fucking apartheid state as it's in the process of doing a genocide. And this, of course, was a reaction to the FBI collaborating with a blue state attorney general, Dana Nessel, to raid the homes of American citizens for engaging in student activism against the state of Israel. Yes, people who are pro-Israel clearly use their love for Israel and their allegiance to Israel in their fucking elected positions of power. Just like someone who has an allegiance or loyalty to Nazi Germany would also use their position of power after winning an election to promote Nazi Germany. Regardless of your background, any kind of fucking Zionist tendency should be treated in the same way as being a fucking rabid neo-Nazi. And you shouldn't even let someone be the fucking local dog catcher as Felix was posting if they've ever exhibited any sort of like positive feelings about the state of Israel. I'm so serious about this.
Now, by the way, he didn't misspeak. He doubled down on it yesterday. He said, no, I agree. That's what I think. Now, just to recap, he says, anyone that's had positive feelings at any point about the state of Israel is a neo-Nazi that's not fit to be a dog walker. Now, to me, that seems like extremely dangerous, dehumanizing language about what could arguably be 70% of the Jewish diaspora, and certainly probably people you know in your family.
I'll tell you.
I wanted him to ask Sam if he believes that his dad, who is pro-Israel, right? Because Sam like briefly alludes to his father being pro-Israel. I wish that he would ask, Sam thinks it would be appropriate for his father to be elected into local office, exhibiting the real sympathies he has for the state of Israel. Because I am almost certain that Sam's reaction to that would be, hell no. Sam Cedar would 100% say no.
There's some hyperbole there, but
that's putting it mildly.
I mean, he says Zionism, and I'll tell you what I think is really.
Sorry, I got to correct you. He says Zionism, and then he says if you had positive feelings about the state of Israel at any point in your life.
I got to tell you, if you look at what's happening right now, and you have positive feelings about Israel,
he said at any point in your life, Sam. Just to be clear about what he said.
Would I have said at any point in his life, someone's life? But I just think this is such a petty, like the idea that we're going to police. Hold on, let me respond. You want me to respond to this? I don't. Like I say, I don't care about this. But if you're going to force me to respond to it, but wait,
dude, he handled this so well. This was the most annoying part for him too. It was the only part where he like actually started getting really pissed off, visibly pissed off. Just to give you a better understanding of what Ethan is probably going to do tomorrow, this is probably what he's going to try to do. He's going to constantly try to hyper-focus on whatever language I'm using and stay away from talking about Israel, talking about his opinions on Israel, refuse to let me talk. And no matter what happens, if I yell at him and overpower him in the conversation, then I'm emotional and I lost the argument. If I let him get his point across and then try to respond, but then get, overwhelmed consistently by a barrage of fucking misinformation and out of context clips, then I'm a pussy and Ethan owned me. So there's no winning in there's no real victory here. I'm just going to let you know. You're not doing it today? No, it's tomorrow. I will still do it. I will still, of course, do it. But I know for a fact that online debates, especially in communities like this one that care about blood sports, is not actually about coming to a reasonable conclusion, coming to a moderate center on any issue, but it's more so about what you can clip and what you can use to dominate the conversation. The greatest example of this would, of course, be the debate that I had with Ethan. The last debate that I had. It exists on my fucking YouTube page. If you recall, Ethan and I already talked about Israel and Palestine extensively. Except what was the primary takeaway from the drama slop tuber communities that went into that conversation? It was that I was really mean to Ethan. These guys who actually normally jerk off to Destiny Dominates People compilations turned around and said, I was a bully to Ethan. That was the only takeaway. They did not talk about the facts that I brought forward. They did not talk about the actual conversation that took place. It was just that I was too mean to Ethan. So remember, they're just disingenuous.
Like I say, I don't care about this, but if you're going to force me to respond to it, what Israel is doing right now is so far beyond the idea that someone says any time in your life or not or whatnot. He's talking about Zionism, and frankly, I think it's very difficult for me to understand how someone could have positive feelings at this time. Now, you want to say in the past and what? Okay.
Yeah.
Like I say, I will grant you at any time in your life that is too broad a step. But wait, let me finish.
Yeah.
But see, you go in and you're making this about anti-Semitism by doing this hopscotch about a poll that people had positive feelings that Jewish people do, and then therefore he is anti-Semitic. And honestly, that type of conflation, I think, is so dangerous and so disingenuous. I mean, I don't want to get too passionate about this, but I'll tell you something. I have had a guy who went to my bar mitzvah, my sister's bar mitzvah, my kid's bar mitzvah, sat at Passover with me 3 or 4 times, call my father and ask him if I'm anti-Semitic. Now, this is just one, that is just an example, an illustration of conflating when he's clearly talking about Zionism. Was it hyperbole to say any time in life, whatever? The fact of the matter is this conflation is dangerous for Jews. It is a fig leaf and a way of weaponizing anti-Semitism that has enabled Donald Trump to do the shit he's doing, that has enabled the slaughter of thousands upon thousands of children and women and men, for that matter. It is not keeping Israelis safe. And this type of conflation, Ethan, is what I find far more irresponsible, frankly, than the idea that he said positive any time. I mean, look, you do a show Sam, 4 hours a day. He does a show 5 or, as far as I could tell, 15 hours a day. And to focus in on that one tiny clause.
This is not one tiny clip, Sam. Well, you don't know. This is a totality of behavior.
But you
and by the way, it's easy.
Yes. It is a totality of behavior. You're talking to a person who is very knowledgeable on my positions. You're talking to a person who agrees with me and is very knowledgeable on my positions and operating under the assumption that he's going to be duped, that he's not knowledgeable enough on politics, on the way that Hasbro works, on the way that this conflation and weaponization of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism works, that he is going to be duped by your 15-second clips about a dude who's known me for like almost a fucking decade, dog. That is what's so crazy about this conversation taking place. Like, he literally thinks if I show him enough clips, Sam Cedar will be convinced, despite knowing me for almost 10 fucking years at this point, that he is going to be convinced by your clips. I'm sorry. You are not intelligent enough to craft a sophisticated narrative like this. That's precisely the reason why you mostly rip this shit in the same way that the Free Press did from Destiny's Wikipedia page. Why the fuck do you think someone who is actually knowledgeable on this issue, knowledgeable on the ways in which anti-Semitism is cynically weaponized against pro-Palestinian content creators, would ever be duped? Sam not only did not fucking get duped by this, but he also went on to make a broader point that Ethan just doesn't hear at all, which is that the real danger here is the conflation of Zionism and Judaism, which is what you are doing. That is what his point is. His point is that it is infinitely worse. It is infinitely worse to try to go over the statements of an anti-Zionist who is not anti-Semitic with a fine-tooth comb to try to literally pull out some kind of semantics argument that you have hallucinated into existence to claim that this anti-Zionist person is actually secretly anti-Semitic. Look at him. He's saying it. There's a totality here of all of his actions. Like, that in and of itself is understandably, as Sam saw right there, is a cynical way to weaponize anti-Zionism or weaponize anti-Semitism smears in a way to deflect away from criticisms of Israel. It's fucking ridiculous. It is malicious and it is dangerous, especially if you are a Jew in America. It is extra dangerous because all you are doing is associating yourself and your religion and the religion of your children with what Israel is doing in the eyes of people who probably have some level of anti-Semitic tendencies. It doesn't make any sense to me how liberal Zionists behave like this. It does not make sense to me at all. Like, they just don't see. They're so invested, for the most part, in trying to position themselves as like peacekeepers, but carve out a specific space for like Israel being a good country. Please think that Israel's a good country. Please don't hurt my feelings. And that everyone and anyone that has an issue with that is actually anti-Semitic secretly. I'm going to do everything I can to fucking, do numerology to figure out how anti-Semitic you actually are. Like that kind of stuff does not work. It didn't work that well in the past either, but it doesn't work at all now. All it does is make people go, dude, you fucking suck. You are, it makes people resent you. It makes you look repulsive to most people. Maybe to Ethan's audience, who are not very well equipped and have stand behavior that they're exhibiting, that love Ethan and think he is a perma victim here, the most vulnerable person on the planet, therefore everyone is fucking attacking him or whatever. But like to the outside world, they hear this, they see this, they go, "What the fuck are you doing?"
And I appreciate that you can hand wave it away and say that it doesn't.
No, I'm not hand waving it away.
Well, you kind of are.
I'm saying this
you're saying
conflation.
It doesn't. You're saying actually I'm wrong for caring about it.
No, yes. In fact, I'm saying this conflation is incredibly dangerous. It is disingenuous.
I think it's dangerous
right now,
to ignore what's being described as dehumanizing violent language for American Jews that have nothing to do with the war.
That is a complete mischaracterization of that.
It's not.
He's
not fit to be a dog walker.
He never says the word Jews.
He says a neo.
Listen, how many members of Kufi have positive feelings?
Well, let me.
Evangelicals too. It is not anti-Semitism. It is not. It just isn't.
Like taking one example in isolation, which is what we've done here.
Well, you're the one who gave it to me.
Yeah. Well, fundamentally, I disagree with you.
I'm using your example, and in that instance, that is not anti-Semitism.
Well, I disagree.
Conflation. Okay. Well, that's our disagreement.
Yeah.
But I think that conflation is incredibly dangerous.
Well, I disagree as well.
Jews,
I think
it's dangerous for this society.
I think, frankly, I think it's dangerous to what I perceive as hand waving what's happening here. I know you said you aren't doing that.
I'm not hand waving.
You're doing the opposite. You're endorsing
decades of thought about this.
So right, sure, but the point is, you're saying that this is not dangerous. How dare you care about this? I think it's dangerous
Ethan doesn't understand. He is saying it's dangerous. He's saying what Ethan is doing is dangerous. He's so lost in his own world that he doesn't understand the point Sam is making. Sam is saying Hasan is engaging in an anti-Zionist sentiment. Sure, there's hyperbole if you want like a win here, okay, an aesthetic win here, there's hyperbole that you're laser focusing on. But having said that, your conflation of his statement, my statement of saying that like if people are pro-Israel, they should be treated in the same way that people who are pro-neo-Nazi or pro-apartheid South Africa should be treated and should not be elected even to the lowest position, which would be the dog catcher, is the idiom, right? That in and of itself has nothing to do with anti-Semitism, and the conflation and the claim that it is dehumanizing language against Jews is actually the dangerous conflation that Ethan is making that Sam despises. And I don't know why Ethan just like fails to comprehend what is happening here. Like he is literally saying, no. Not only am I not upset with what Hasan said, I'm saying I'm upset with what you're doing. Okay?
Jewish people have a collective memory of trauma, Sam, and it starts a certain way. And it starts with dehumanizing language, like saying you're not fit to walk a dog. I mean, what are we doing here? It's irresponsible language.
He's not talking about Jews.
He's talking about 73% of Jewish people.
No, you said that.
No, that's a poll that's readily available.
No, you made that connection. He did not. Because we have millions upon millions of members of Kufi. We have millions upon millions in this country of evangelicals who also believe the same thing.
Does your dad have?
You cannot say it's anti-Semitism.
Could you describe?
You cannot say it's anti-Semitism if you're also including millions upon millions, far more Christians than Jews.
Would you say that your father, who you mentioned, said something to you, that he's ever in his life had positive feelings about the state of Israel?
I've had positive feelings of Israel.
Well, does your dad have any positive feelings about it now? Not in terms of like I support them.
Yeah, here he says, I would assume so.
But I've had positive feelings. I went to Israel on.
Okay, good. Then you're a neo-Nazi, not fit to walk a dog. How do you feel about that?
No, that's you saying that.
That's literally what he says. I'll play it again.
I don't believe. Like, this doesn't even make logical sense, right? That right there does not make logical sense. Why does that not make logical sense? I love Sam Cedar. But even if you didn't know that I love Sam Cedar, okay, if you're an Ethan fan, you heard Ethan mention time and time again that I wanted Ethan to talk to Sam Cedar. Ironically, I said you should have this in private, but he wanted to make content out of it. So here we are. Art said you can do it in private, you can do it in public, whatever you want, but like you should probably talk to him. I think you can have your mind changed. It would be valuable for you to have a different perspective from a person that you actually admire and actually have respect for. So the question I have for people who aren't really paying attention here is like, if I thought Sam Cedar was a fucking neo-Nazi, why would I tell Ethan to talk to Sam Cedar? Why would I like Sam Cedar? Why would I defend Sam Cedar? If I genuinely thought that positive feelings for the fucking state of Israel at any point, why would I literally use Sam Cedar as an example of someone who I know had positive feelings for Israel at some point, and his own journey of becoming an anti-Zionist would be instructive for someone like Ethan Klein? Clearly, I don't fucking believe that. Yeah. Good fucking logic right there. But the problem is, there is no reason for there to be logic applied at any step here. Ethan takes arguments and compartmentalizes them and looks for a gotcha that will basically exist within the confines of that very moment. It's a very interesting way to debate, where he literally forgets what he said 3 seconds prior. He forgets what he says 4 seconds after. It is incredibly fucking inconsistent. You were also inconsistent. What are you saying? There, I say I misspoke and you win. Exactly, you misspoke. It's not a win. You don't lose if you admit you said something you didn't mean. It's fine to admit to misspeaking once. I know, but once you said it, exactly, you just misspoke. Say you misspoke and you win. He has no ammo. What? Misspoke on what? You look good today, except I hate jewelry, dumplings, sushi, woke toke. You did, and I called you out in real time. You said that, and it was sloppy. You said ever. You said ever. It's a small thing if you're correct. Would give you a huge win. You needed to say it. Good job. Finally. Good. This is the clarification you needed to say. Dude, I'm sorry, but some of y'all are literally fucking so unimaginably mentally ill, and I truly don't fucking understand. That's a gotcha, FYI. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's literally, you're demonstrating as a fan what I was talking about in terms of like trying to secure a fucking concession here. Like there is a literal paraphrasing that's taking place. You abide by that person's malicious paraphrasing, and you take the worst possible interpretation of it, and you go, no, I demand you say you misspoke. No, it's very obvious what I was fucking saying there. If you misunderstand me, that's on you with that, okay? My fucking track record on this matter speaks for itself. That's it. And also, this is an unimaginably inconsequential reason. And that is the reason why I hate doing fucking debates. Because unfortunately, there are insanely neurodivergent motherfuckers out there who do actually lock in and laser focus on the semantics conversation when the real issue at place is the shit that Ethan is saying in terms of fucking in terms of how like 70% of American Jews are Zionists, and therefore if you say anything about Zionists, you're actually talking about Jews, you're anti-Semitic. That is the real dangerous conflation here, as Sam Cedar correctly pointed to. Okay? You, on the other hand, are so fucking lost in the sauce that your understanding of this issue is juvenile, where you think, no, the only thing you should do is basically say, oh, I'm sorry, I misspoke, and you win. No, this is a dangerous conflation that I would be entertaining. Do you understand? Yeah, I'm not anti-Semitic. I am anti-semantic, though. I fucking hate the silly hyper-focus on semantics in any conversation. And in a serious conversation, people that just like laser in on like, well, you spoke in a certain way and it made me feel some type of way. Now you have to address my feelings. Like, fuck your feelings. Here's the reality. Are you going to go over there and talk to Ethan about how he says dog walker instead of elected to local dog catcher, which is an old school idiom, dramatically changing the structure of the statement? No, because he gets to fucking have no nuance as he laser focuses on the fucking paraphrasing. Don't be stupid. He changes dog catcher to dog walker to imply that I'm saying you should never be hired for any job whatsoever if you have loyalty to Israel at any point in your fucking life. That's not my argument. My argument is, if you like what Israel's doing, if you are a Zionist, if you say things like, I love Israel, we should defend Israel, then you should not be elected to even the lowest possible elected position. And I have that exact same stance when it comes to people who have loyalty towards Nazi Germany. I have that exact same stance when it comes to people who have loyalty to apartheid South Africa. That's it, because Zionism is fascist. Zionism is ultimately a ethno-supremacist, an ethno-religious supremacist, exterminationist, fascist ideology. If you focus on speaking to Ethan instead of to the audience, you will regret it tomorrow. All you need to do is focus on the Red Crescent slaughter and cover up pro-rape riots and the Israeli support of all this. Framing of the conversation will be everything. No, you're right. You're absolutely right, insulin dependent. It's an elected position from antiquity. Can't expect Ethan to read a fucking book. No, that's the irony, of course, is that I'm literally paraphrasing or defending what my Jewish friend was saying, but it doesn't matter. None of that matters, okay? None of that fucking matters. The point is, the moment that you fall into this semantics trap, as opposed to what Sam did here expertly, is a moment where you lost. You're conceding ground on this conversation. The real conversation is supposed to be on the fucking boundaries of whether or not like what our disagreements are on what Israel's doing, whether or not Israel's doing a genocide. If it's doing a genocide, like, what do you think is permissible in terms of resistance to said genocide by other regional countries and other forms of militancy against the country doing a genocide? Like, this is the real conversation. It's the one that Ethan doesn't want to have. So every single time you actually cave and capitulate to the fucking semantic framing that he wants to laser focus in on, you're basically not having that real conversation. He's going to do this tomorrow and ignore the logic entirely. Sam pointed out that far more evangelicals support Zionism than Jewish people do, and Ethan ignored it because he was chasing a gotcha with a dad comment, and his fans are also stuck in a deluded reality claiming Sam ignored Ethan's points when the opposite happened. Until Ethan sees what he's doing, nothing will change. It's going to be so tough to convince his fans while he badgers you with disinfo for you to prove. I know. My biggest problem is I'm so fucking stubborn, and I have ADHD, so whenever someone is like, oh, here, I misunderstood what you were saying, correct your position now, I do make it my problem, and I will spend, as I've shown you right here, 25 fucking minutes on explaining to the chatter how stupid it is in terms of a tactic to cave to your interlocutor's framing. It's that simple for me. It's that simple. His position is that the totality of my behavior demonstrates severe anti-Semitism on some days, and then simply not anti-Semitic, but allowance for anti-Semitism on others. That's another thing that I need to ask him about, because he has said time and time again that I have demonstrated severe anti-Semitism over and over and over again. And then yesterday, after the Sam Cedar conversation, he was like, well, you know, he's not actually anti-Semitic, but he just allows anti-Semitism to manifest in his community. You're missing the point. Oh, yeah. No, I'm going to do this. You're right. I'm 100% going to do this. Yes, we have to define terms that we agree on. We can't constantly have a back and forth. The earliest record of could not get elected dog catcher dates back to 1889. Why are we doing this? Stop. I don't even want to entertain this.
He plays around with the term Zionist.
It's okay to let Ethan dodge accepting the reality because he will never accept the systematized reality and support for ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians and the Israeli state. And in those who are supporters of it in the West, you just need to have enough examples of it that everyone else will see him saying that it was just one bad apple over and over again. Yeah, I guess. I will start off by defining terms and setting boundaries in terms of like what a productive conversation looks like. Because if the conversation revolves around him constantly being like, what did you mean here? What did you mean here? What did you mean here? And then him trying to fucking slam a position that I don't have because of his like nefarious framing of a clip out of context, it's not going to be very productive. But I know he's going to do that. I know he's going to try and do that, which is fine. I'll entertain it for a little bit, but...
Right.
You can say that's a wrong thing to say, but he's not talking about Jews. He's talking about people who have exhibited these positive feelings, and that includes millions upon millions of Christians. More Christians.
Okay, well, listen, I don't think they're neo-Nazis, not fit to walk dogs, either. I think it's insane language.
Listen, you don't want to tell me that you have never engaged in hyperbole. You and I both are in this business, and we do that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You know, I just think that,
It's, you listen, you can say it's an inappropriate thing to say. It's an unfair thing to say.
I just think like Arabs that support Israel aren't fit to walk a dog.
It is not anti-Semitism.
Okay, well, we're at an impasse on this one.
Yep.
Wait, Arabs who support Israel aren't fit to walk a dog? Dog catcher. But yes, absolutely. Arabs who also support Israel, doesn't matter what their fucking religion is, support Israel are not fit to be elected to fucking office. Even the lowest office, yes. He got so horny to try and fucking say something that was like equivalently racist or whatever in his mind, because he thinks this is a racist statement, that he ended up saying something that I would wholeheartedly agree with. That is actually at the heart of my argument, which is, doesn't matter what your background is that. He really thought that this would cook.
Yeah, so I mean.
He really thought that it would cook.
So
but it doesn't end there. Obviously, there was like some other ridiculous fucking statements too. What is this? Science determines this the exact expression crewman Dan makes when he's lying through his freaking teeth. No, there was a couple moments where he just like really popped off and said some really fucking insane shit that I wanted to show you. You both need a moderator? Yeah, there's not going to happen. It's going to be his team on his terms, whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. Oh, here. The Israelis are bloodthirsty comments that I've made in terms of like the general attitude in Israel that is careless towards all of the destruction of Palestine.
100,000 in the rest of the country. That's 500,000 people out in the street protesting the government of a country that has like maybe like 6 million or 5 million in the.
Are you talking about the protests about the judiciary?
I'm talking about to release the hostages.
Okay, to release the hostages.
Yeah. To stop, to ceasefire. Ceasefire, Sam. That's what that means.
They were
500,000.
They were calling for a ceasefire, or they were calling for a release of the hostages.
Well, what do you mean? What's the point of telling Hamas to release the hostages? Yeah, of course it's a ceasefire, Sam.
Well, but Israel has, and I know. I'll look this up.
Deal with this.
I don't have
500,000 Israel.
Wait. Let's look this up and see how many times the Israeli government has said return of the hostages will not end.
Sam, I'm responding to you saying the majority of Israelis want civilians to die. 500,000 people came to the street for a ceasefire of a country of 5 million, Sam. That's 10%.
Israel just broke the latest ceasefire. Okay, where is the political response from the Israeli people? I mean, the idea that Gazans can be held responsible for an election that happened 18 years ago.
Sam, you said the majority of Israelis want civilians to die.
I think the majority of Israelis do not have a problem with what's going on in Gaza. That is my opinion.
I think that unfortunately might be true to the extent that they've gotten.
Well, then we agree.
They've gotten much more radical. Unfortunately, tragically, everybody's been a lot more radicalized since October 7th. And that's tragic. I agree. I think people in Israel are jaded and they are cynical and they don't care, like you said. And I think it's tragic.
Yes. Well, that's what my contention was. I mean, I'm looking at something from May.
I wouldn't say most of them want to kill civilians, though.
Well, I think that they don't.
And I wouldn't say that there isn't a sizable portion of of Israeli citizenry that want a ceasefire. When 500,000 people, Sam, marched out on the street.
Bro, this is crazy, okay? There's numbers for this. I find it so strange that he refuses to. We have a volunteer, Hasan. What is this? I'll moderate. Okay, bro. I find it very odd that there's numbers for this and he just like refuses to look at the numbers themselves. It's so fucking bad. How bad he is at Hasbara is so funny. Hold on.
Of a country of 5 million for a ceasefire.
Research, 39% say Israel's military response against Hamas in Gaza has been about right. 34% say not gone far enough.
Sure.
Now granted, that was in and
that is also all of Israel. That number includes Palestinian citizens of Israel. What under normal circumstances would be the Christian and Muslims in Israel. The designation by the Israeli census is you are either Jew or Arab. Okay, so those polls that are conducted on the Israeli population will actually make this designation between Arabs and Jews. Okay, the numbers that Sam is representing actually have both Jews and Arabs in them. This is not my designation. This is the Israeli state, by the way, because I think it's really fucking stupid and also ethno-religious supremacist to classify Jews as something different than Arabs when there are a shit ton of Arab Jews.
May of this past year. So
also the reason why Ethan has such a hard time here is, as this chatter correctly pointed out, man, debating is hard when you just can't call them anti-Semitic, which is the case. Like, this is why this is why I think it was a little bit, it weirded me out a little bit, the way that they actually turned on Sam aggressively after realizing that Sam wasn't in agreement with Ethan, and they were quick to say he's a token Jew and quick to say that I had brainwashed him and all this shit. And yeah, Sam was right. The protests were about the judiciary. They did not have those numbers on the hostages protests. But the fact that there were so many people, I'd be careful with him doing that I agree shit he's doing with Sam when they both agree with Ethan's points. Yeah, I saw this yesterday. I covered it yesterday. But yeah, the H3HE subreddit flipped on Sam Cedar so fast to get whiplash. Finally, an adult to talk to. Sam calling in. I'm so glad that Ethan is talking to him before Hasan. Now we can get in all of his actual policy positions and have plenty of clips of Sam agreeing with them to use against Hasan. Chef's kiss, gonna be beautiful. Sam Cedar, bruh, I don't care. Then why are you on the broadcast? I take back everything I said about him being reasonable or willing to listen. What a scumbag. Everything I heard about him appears to be a lie because what the fuck is his behavior? Like, they literally lost their fucking minds and started they started the Sam Cedar is Hamas chants out of nowhere. And the cope from Ethan and Destiny fans are so insane. They're saying you brainwashed him. Looks like somebody attended a Hasan 101 seminar. This whole debate is so Hasan coded, and the fact that he's being agitated shows he doesn't like being challenged. What is this? I'm a big Sam Cedar fan and only nominally watched Ethan Klein, but I thought Sam was being ridiculous in that debate. In fact, the longer this drama caused and the more I'm firmly in Ethan's corner. I've not seen or heard of a single terrible moment or deed from Ethan and extremely disturbing stuff from Hasan's community. It was sad to see Sam jump on that brigade. No, this is not as a black man type beat. No, these are unironically fucking liberals who are pro-Israel, dude. That's it. But also, while they're simultaneously pro-Israel, they haven't paid attention to what fucking Sam Cedar's been saying about Israel. Anyway, this was the other side that Izzy brought up as well.
There's an opportunity for a ceasefire that was called in November, in December.
Yeah. Sam is 100% correct.
They could have held a ceasefire at any point, and the amount of killing would have been far less. They could have done that. They could have ended it after a week.
I mean, Hamas could have ended the war anytime too.
How could have Hamas ended the war?
By releasing the hostages?
No, listen. Israel has said time and time again that the release of the hostages is not going to end their assault on Gaza. They have said this over
I don't believe that's
over and over.
I haven't seen those statements. I've seen the opposite.
Bro, I'm sorry, but your lack of interest in finding out the truth should not be other people's problem. Like, this is willful ignorance, dude. How are we entertaining this? This is why I was losing my fucking mind yesterday, dude. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Well, I didn't see that. Okay. Well, you didn't see the fucking moon landing either. Doesn't mean it didn't happen, you know? There's a lot you don't see. What are we talking about? Like, if I were to talk to a fucking quantum physician about quantum physics, yeah, that person would probably be more knowledgeable than me on the issue. I wouldn't turn around and be like, well, I don't really understand this, so you're fucking stupid and wrong. What the fuck? Quantum physician. Exactly. That's how you know how little I know about this issue, okay? That's how you know. I don't know anything, but that's the problem. When I don't know something, I tell you. He's going to do this to you, and you should be prepared for it because anything you bring up is going to be, I haven't seen this, so you're probably lying. If it's true, it doesn't matter because I have other arguments. How are you going to combat him without doing this, without letting him derail and frustrate you? I mean, at this point, I think you guys should have a little bit more confidence in me. At least my brain is not good. Okay? I don't have a good brain. But in all the badness of my brain, there is one thing I'm very good at, which is pulling data from Top Dome on shit that happened throughout I've been covering Israel-Palestine every single day since October 7, 2023. So that is precisely why when Sam and Ethan were having this conversation, I was losing my mind because I was like, dude, Hamas has asked for more than 39 times to release all hostages in exchange for a ceasefire, okay? 39 times. The first time started off immediately after October 7th. I believe it was October 10th when Hamas said, we will release all hostages as long as you stop bombing Gaza, okay? And in that process, there was never a single moment where Israel was like, yeah, okay, we'll take it. Israel's behavior throughout this entire process also demonstrated that they don't care about hostages. 5 days ago now, Hamas actually, the Al-Qassam brigades released a video showing that they were extracting Israeli hostages from under the rubble because Israel had blown up their position. Israel is also, as recently as this past week and even yesterday, openly maintains the notion that they don't want to fucking stop the war. Netanyahu has said time and time again that he sees hostages as a hurdle for his ambitions of ethnic cleansing. That's it. No doubt. Netanyahu preventing hostage deal, charges ex-spokesman of the Families Forum. This was on 26th of April, 2024. At one point, Palestinians, or Netanyahu's envoy, called the hostage families to their faces, helping Hamas. Exactly. Info dumping specifics is all you need for tomorrow. And when Ethan tries to hand wave things, have another data point to drop. There was a doctor talking about how bodies delivered to hospitals are the only ones representing the body count, as well as when Ethan tries to say the numbers are inflated when the reality is opposite. Yeah. I'm not worried about how things are going to go down. I'm very confident in my ability to talk. It's just, I'm saddened by the state of affairs. Every day that goes on where I see another comment online that is so stupid, it makes me lose faith in humanity. Like, there are whole ass adults out there, white ladies that work in human resources at, marketing firms and shit, that literally sit around and talk about fucking genocide from the perspective of their favorite neurotic content creators' selfish desires. Like, if you unironically haven't been able to come up with a conclusion on your own after 16 months of fucking bombing children, and you still think the real victim here is like Ethan Klein, I'm sorry, dude. You're not a fucking full human being at that point. You're like a sea cucumber. You're just responding to stimuli, going about your fucking day. Make the tall order of what soda you have with the syrups and move on, sis. Maybe politics is not for you, The fuck are we doing? Get ready for the next clip, chimp. No, I'm serious. The girlies are not all right. If the girlies themselves are disinvested in an issue from the framework of how Ethan has been wronged by everybody and how he's been victimized by everybody when there's a fucking literal genocide. Like, that's the only position they hold, which is that Ethan is pro-Palestine and everyone is unfairly attacking him and he is the only victim here. And the guy that they're saying this about is just like so utterly fucking clueless. That makes me very frustrated. It makes me very frustrated because it reminds me once again, it is a reminder of the somber reality that people do not care. People don't care about anything. They're just like, for them, politics is only about parasocial nonsense. Former RSTA infantryman here, Ethan has constantly used the exact same methods we saw in our key leader engagements with actual terrorists. Is actually fucking scary. No, it's just cult shit. It's just cult shit. That's all this is. It's just successful cult programming. I really think, and it's not just Ethan either. This is just how politics works now. This is just how politics works in an era where we have completely fucking devolved. And honestly, I don't even know if he's doing it intentionally. It doesn't even fucking matter. I think if you want to be a successful de-radicalizer, you have to learn how to deal with cults now. Like, this is something I've been thinking about quite a bit because I have to learn how to deprogram people. What is it? I'm not complaining 99.9% of the time, but Hasan stream when I'm driving and working. Chat, Donald Trump announced World War III. J.D. Vance passed away. The U.S. split into two and HasanAbi. The anime drops tomorrow. Hasan stream when I'm completely free and can watch without distraction. I do hate this meme. You were right. Osama's bin Laden. Ethan Klein versus Sam Cedar is just this. Well, Hasan said this. Can we not talk about Hasan? Like, dude, I'm serious. Like, when I see people that are like, oh, as a former fan of Hasan, like, it's really sad to see his fall from grace as Sam Cedar is repeating his talking points back to Ethan because he very clearly brainwashed him, like he brainwashed Ludwig, like he brainwashed the New York Times, like he brainwashed CNN. Hasan controls the media. Everything I think about is Hasan. Hasan is in control of everything. The other day I stubbed my toe. It was also Hasan. Hasan placed the couch there. The couch didn't used to be like that. Hasan must have done it. Where you're literally fucking you're just fucking writing shit on the wall with your feces at that point. What the fuck? Hasan runs Twitch. Hasan runs Reddit. Like, realize girly pops. How do you not realize you've been brain broken? What the fuck? It makes me feel sad and powerless. It makes me feel sad and utterly powerless when I see so much mania out there. When I see like pure demonstrations of insanity like that, it makes me sad because I don't think I can fucking convince these people. Like, they need therapy. And no, I'm not talking about either. I'm talking about the girly pops that watch him still, that don't realize that he's just fucking pummeling Islamophobia directly into their brains. It's so crazy. Like, the way that community treats Frogan is so wild. Like, that was a girly pop community. How the fuck did this happen? But I don't know, because I wasn't there for like the Trisha fallout either, so I have no idea how they treated her. Latest polling data on Jewish Americans from April 2025. Ethan clinging on to a single number is just laughable because all the responses are incongruous. Yes, obviously it's incongruous because like Jews don't agree on anything, okay? Let alone Israel. No one is a monolith. No one is a monolith anyway. If Jews were a monolith, Israel wouldn't need to fucking constantly educate every young American Jew about how there was a land without people for a people without land from birth, okay? Like, that's it. Everyone would just be having that information beamed into their minds. Control F Jewish, not Jews. Yeah, in this survey, Jews and Muslims are defined as U.S. adults, 14 times. Majorities of most religious groups are large enough to analyze. Yeah. Jewish Americans are also divided on this question. How Trump is handling relationships. 36% say Trump is favoring Israelis too much, while 43% say he's striking the right balance. Just 2% say he's favoring Palestinians too much. Ugh. Jewish adults were less likely to say Biden was favoring Israelis too much. 13 versus 36 for Trump. And more likely to say he was favoring Palestinians too much. 18% versus 2% for Trump. Over half disapprove of Netanyahu, but also over half don't think 2 states is possible. Unclear whether that is pro or anti-Israel way. And also over half disapprove of colonizing Gaza. So in short, a bunch of completely incongruous positions. No single data point tells the true story. Yeah. Louis Theroux documentary, score out of 10. I think that was a firm 9. The Hasan Piker hate explained in one image. I made pizza today. It burnt my tongue. It was Hasan's fault. Yeah, the issue is, this is unironically what the fuck they believe, like what the fuck these people believe. And there's also like thousands of people who agree with it and upvote this. That's what's so crazy about it. Also, speaking of like having a fucked up day, this place that I ordered from for the first time sent me baklava, and I think it's chocolate baklava, and I've never had that before, so I'm going to try it right now. Oh my God. I don't want anybody to revoke my Turkish card, but this is unironically not bad. Might as well be Greek after that. Holy shit. Bro, is çoklava? Look, Turks are chirping. Turks are chirping. Çikolatalı baklava olur mu lan? Ben de hiç yemedim hayatımda. Oğlum 33 senedir yaşıyorum bu dünyada. 34 olacak. Bir kere ağzıma almadım. Pause. Hiç görmedim hayatımda çikolatalı baklava. I made a very sus statement in Turkish, and then I said, pause. In English. Ağzını almadın. The strategy is strong. Say nothing, win. Did you see the actual anti-Semitic caricature of Sam that got posted in an issue subreddit? Dude, I don't think that was I don't think that person was intentionally making an anti-Semitic cartoon of Sam. Okay? Like people were saying this is like anti-Semitic, but I don't think this person was being anti-Semitic. Now, ironically enough, there's no world in which like Ethan would ever offer that kind of charity to someone like myself or a member of my community. Oh yeah. Here, Jews are not magic. Even if 100% of Jews were Zionists who loved Israel, I would still be against Zionism because that's the correct thing to do, to be against apartheid and genocide. This idea of Jewish exceptionalism is tired and frankly should be met with disgust. Yeah. That's the other thing. Like, why are you fucking engaging in a self-own? Why are you shitting on Jews by associating them with Israel like this, bro? This is what I don't understand. Do I run around being like, yo, ISIS is fucking sick? That's what all Muslims love? That would be insane. It's not correct. And it would be an insane conflation. Oh, you're Islamophobic for shitting on ISIS, dude. And this motherfucker's doing that. And it's really frustrating because not only does he talk to other anti-Zionist Jews now, like Sam, but there is a shit ton of anti-Zionist Jews in here. Some of them literally are in fucking Israel. And they lose their goddamn minds every time Ethan's like, no, you don't understand. We love this shit. Yo, we ride or die, dude. How dare you? And it's crazy because like half the time he's saying it's a genocide. It's really fucked up. Actually, that's not true. He doesn't say that half the time. But every now and then, he'll just slip that in for plausible deniability's sake. It'll be like, yeah, I hate it. It could be considered a genocide. It's really fucked up. And then he spends 75% of the time talking about people who are also saying that and saying more than just that. You know what I mean? It's like his position is impossible. His position is one where in order for anyone to abide by Ethan Klein's standards of how to protest against the state of Israel, you just literally can't protest against the state of Israel. If you ever do, you have to say, oh, I just only don't like Netanyahu. And I'm not going to pay attention to the fact that he has gotten elected for the past 30 years. I'm not going to, because that would be anti-Semitic. If you were to make inferences off of why this evil, bloodthirsty monster, Netanyahu, has been consistently elected into positions of power for the past fucking 3 decades, that's anti-Semitic. Do not make any inferences. Do not make any inferences off of this. Okay? Sometimes you can call it a genocide if I'm feeling good. Other times you can't call it a genocide because my wife is there and she gets really mad at me. Do not call it a genocide around my wife. Sometimes, if you're getting real thirsty with it, I'll let you say from, maybe not the river to the sea, but from like from the sea to the Gaza boundary, you know, that we have placed, the green line, skipping over Israel proper, 1967 boundaries all the way to East Jerusalem. Sometimes I allow East Jerusalem to be mentioned. Other times I don't. And from that point to the Jordanian River, Palestine will be free. But I don't really like that you're saying Palestine. Maybe let's say Palestinians. That's probably an appropriate way to say it. Also, anyone and everyone that has ever said what Israel is doing is bad and wrong, and that like there's of course going to be militant resistance against endless child murder. Well, those guys are all terrorists. Resist against Israel militarily, you're a fucking terrorist. You're a terrorist. You hate Jews. You want to kill Jews. You want to rape them. You want to rape them and behead them. And then you want to rape the beheading. That didn't happen. Why are you saying that? Then, you know, you're also an anti-Semite. You're not supposed to say that. You're not supposed to say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I got it. The only protest that I will allow is if you are a Palestinian in Gaza and you are saying that the real villain here is Hamas. That's the only time. If you're a Palestinian living in the Gaza Strip and you're like, yo, you know who's actually bombing me? Hamas is. That's when I will allow it. Like, that's what it is. It's just so ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. Like, why do you get to determine how people fucking protest? Like, who are you? Who made you the boss here? You know? One thing I will say that I can't take credit for, but one of my normie friends who doesn't usually pay a lot of attention to this shit, but like, he did actually pay attention to this Ethan Klein saga, turned around and said, it seems like Ethan's fans are not even Zionists, but they're only Zionists for Ethan Klein. Like they're saying like Ethan Klein has a right to defend himself. Like they don't really care. They'll be like, oh no, I'm pro-Palestinian. What the fuck are you talking about? Ethan Klein has a right to defend himself. Like it's very bizarre. They're just Kleinists, you know? Yeah. Foot sliders. No, really. They're just like, listen, this is my this is my favorite content creator, and you've made him sad. And yes, on the one hand, I do believe that there is an unlimited amount of baby murder happening here, and it's really fucked up. But have you considered how sad you've made my favorite content creator by saying there's an unlimited amount of baby murder there and that we should stop it? Because that made my favorite content creator very mad. They all love the idea of suing anyone who disagrees with you. Yeah, that too. Also, where are those fucking lawsuits at? What happened? That's the other thing. Like, it feels like it's like a multi-pronged approach. Yesterday, it's, I don't even know what the fuck is happening. Everyone's mean to Ethan because he's Jewish and not because he's defending Israel, right? He's never defended Israel, but also Israel's a beautiful multinational state, and everyone should get to see it. And people like Hasan, lefty loonies like Hasan, lefty losers like Hasan, keep disparaging the good name of the apartheid state doing a genocide. How fucking dare you? Okay? But then also simultaneously, you know, we got to sue people. We got to sue people that call that out. We should sue them. We should sue random Redditors for frivolous reasons, try to get them to dox themselves and other people. You know, that's how we got to do it. We got to do it. And then also simultaneously, I'm getting sent stuff to my home. We got CPS in his house, which is fucking ridiculous, by the way. Of course, I don't agree with that shit at all. Whole ass loser if you call fucking CPS on a YouTuber. What the fuck's wrong with you? Okay, unless they're like one of those like family channels, because I feel like some of those family channels do some freaky shit. Okay, but then again, we don't know what happened. What's the conclusion? What happened? What's the fucking conclusion? No conclusion whatsoever. And and he fucking still to this day makes it seem like I did that. Like he makes it seem like I fucking picked up the phone and was like, yo, do this. What a psychotic thing. What an insane thing. And then he got fucking skulls sent to his house or some shit. It's like, I have to find out about this a week after the fact because half of my fucking replies are like, dude, why did you call CPS on Ethan and send skulls to his house? Why did you kill a Jewish child and send his skull to Ethan's house? I'm like, what do you mean? What are you fucking talking about? How the fuck did I do this? And then we moved on. We moved on from that to fucking swastika sword. You have a swastika sword. You're a real anti-Semite. Also, Sam Hyde, he might be kind of an anti-Semite, but he's really funny and was very informative in the beginning phases of my career, and also he really destroyed Ian Idub, so maybe he's not that bad. Who knows? Asmongold, obviously, maybe not as trumped up as you would think he is. I mean, I'm a liberal still, by the way. I'm a progressive still. I hate Hasan because he voted for Jill Stein. Again, never did. Never did. Not only did I never vote for Jill Stein, I actively told Jill Stein, I actively told people over and over and over again, you didn't cover the Giardia clip, not your fault. What is the Giardia clip? I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't need to learn new things. I don't need to learn new things. I already know enough things. I don't need to learn new things that are happening in the minds of all of my fucking most rabid haters. Okay? He settled that Denims' community called CPS. He blames you for inventing Denims, though. Oh. Is there any proof necessary at any point? It's like, dude. Ethan Klein, Israel. Two people or entities that never need to prove anything. They just say shit and everyone has to believe them. And if you don't believe them, you're fucking anti-Semitic. What is happening? Okay. Ethan Klein's like imagine if I just started saying like, Ethan Klein came to my house and tried to fucking kill me. And then he slipped on a pile of shit and actually hurt himself. And then every one of my fans literally went around spreading that information. Like, what are we talking about? Like, what the fuck is this? What do you mean? Okay, I thought there needed to be, like, some proof. You have to connect. There's a connective tissue here. You got to point to why someone fucking is responsible for the things that are happening. What the hell is this, bro? You need to be reading. You need to do brain push-ups for tomorrow. I feel like this is the opposite of a brain push-up. I feel like I'm fucking slamming my head into a wall. The more new things you bring up that Ethan has been saying. Stop conceding that CPS was called on him by the internet. I don't know who fucking called it. I don't even know if CPS went to his house. I don't know anything. Why would I know? I don't fucking spend every waking moment trying to figure out what the fuck's going on with this dude's life. It's so crazy that like it's so crazy. Like this is what is this? They hired a Ukrainian stalker to stalk you. See, this is the type of information that I'm better off not knowing. Okay. I don't want to know that. I don't want to know that. I don't want that to exist in my mind. So don't even bring that up to me. Okay. He has repeated this pattern of villainizing and rallying an angry mob. His following is so conditioned for this behavior, this aside, and they're not politically inclined enough to investigate that or separate it from drama as usual. Yeah, I do think that is what's going on a little bit because like the statements that are coming my way are so far removed from like my actual positions that half the time when people are talking about supposedly me, I'm thinking that they're yelling at someone else. Like it literally feels like when I tweet some shit and I see like 11 replies underneath immediately because the fucking notifications are on by blue checkmark accounts and the shit that they're talking about, I'm like, who is this Hasan guy you are speaking of? The son of a billionaire oligarch who wears fake glasses, who is a real estate tycoon who fucking called CPS and then sent skulls to Ethan Klein's home or some shit. I don't even know what his fucking home address is. The fuck? Never even been to his house. Yeah, and I own a PJ. No need to prep. You've been prepping for 18 months by arguing with random Israel defender gray names. Yeah. Why are you playing right now? Yeah, I'm playing. I'm actually hiding the secret. Yeah. If you look at the content cop comments, 90% of them are E's brigade spamming. They never mention the CPS call. It's all based on E's lies. He provides no evidence for it. Same with the new ones about the skulls. It's so fucking tiresome. And then he moves on. And then he fucking moves on. Problem is that many people who have participated in or justify persecution and genocide against the group have done so out of personal reasons, intergenerational trauma, frustrations, failures, identity issues. They conflate genocidal ideology with personal identity and double down over time. Stories become too insane to talk to them. No shared reality. Chat is too small format for topic, but that's one of the aspects. No, I get it. Yeah, my designer dog. Kaya, place. Him saying Mandela charged militants for crimes accountability is not true during the apartheid. The lie that they're trying to push here is the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, but TRC is after the apartheid, and many issues due to the agreement with Afrikaners to not prosecute their war crimes were revealed. You can read up on it in a new article as far as 1 day ago. South Africa sets up inquiry into apartheid prosecutions. Yeah, he's wrong, dude. Nelson Mandela has routinely said that violence when peaceful revolution is not possible, violence is permitted, okay? It's not the JFK quote, but I'm paraphrasing what Nelson Mandela has said. No, don't post shit like this, because he also freaks out. No, don't even joke about this shit, because we can't even joke. Remember, he'll use everything as a gotcha moment, okay? Some evidence of what I know he has literally talked with Dan Saltman. He put Dan Saltman in his fucking content nuke, man. Dan, do people know about you coordinating with H3 during the Twitch anti-Semitism stuff, that you traded emails with them, or is that new info? Am I leaking that they were huge Destiny fans? Hila and Ethan Klein unironically watched a lot of Destiny during October 7 Israel-Palestine arc. At Dan, are you denying this? Please answer. Dan, did Ethan not tell you that he and his wife are huge Destiny fans? Is he not going to answer? Ethan Klein and Hila Klein emailed Dan Saltman during the Twitch anti-Semitism stuff and said they watched Destiny's content together. I'm saying you emailed with Ethan multiple times. Where's Dan's response? Because I'm pretty sure he responded.
I thought it was weird as fuck.
By the way, I'll get into this later, but that's Hasan admitting that he's been to a Diddy party. The dude's been to a Diddy party after spending the last 2 years attacking Evil Dan for being Diddy, the diddler, because he, I don't know, some random association with Diddy. Bro,
Wait, random association with Diddy? His random association with Diddy was in 2011, Saltman's company Tiny Chat received high-profile funding from Diddy, something the company was quite proud of. Diddy used the platform to hit on young women, as evidenced in this video that is still up on Tiny Chat's YouTube page. Tiny Chat since then has been investigated by the FBI for facilitating sex trafficking of minors. Okay? The FBI found that sex traffickers of minors were using Tiny Chat to facilitate sex trafficking of minors. So the idea that like his connection to Diddy is just some association, some loose association is fucking ridiculous. The app, which Dan later sold, is infamous for being a favorite organizing space of neo-Nazis and the alt-right, including Atomwaffen. Would love to know more about Dan's relationship with Diddy. My signal is in my profile. Is Ethan doing this all for cynical views? I'm not familiar with him. Be sure to see if he can name the designer breed that Kai is. Should be easy for a dog breed that costs over 20K. Yeah. Yeah, this was pretty funny. Yeah. They hyperlinked Destiny's Wikipedia. Like Destiny's stalker ass community has their own fucking Wikipedia. And I noticed that while I was reading the Free Press article. Is it normal for articles to cite Destiny Wiki as a primary source? Someone currently accused of multiple sex crimes by multiple women. These people are so shameless, though. It doesn't even matter. Diddypedia. He's so transparent. As long as they hate us on, they can do whatever they want. And even doubt the Holocaust fucking happened. I mean, literally, that is a thing that he is. What is this? This is literally from a testimony during a trial where he was trying to avoid the death penalty. Nassif Yunus of Aberdeen, Scotland. Wait, what is this? In the same testimony, he literally talks about how they were forming trained militant groups and preparing for open rebellion. Just so we're clear, the violence that Nelson Mandela took part in was targeting infrastructure. Killing was explicitly avoided when it did happen, mostly due to poor training and rogue elements. The deaths were few and far between. He also supported Israel's right to exist, by the way. Whoops. So here's something that's really interesting about this take. Why do these people keep saying that I don't think that October 7 was horrifying? It was. Okay? I'm more interested in examining how that kind of violence in retaliation to untold amounts of violence that are far more consequential and far more apparent and for far longer of a period of time, that sort of violent retaliation happens. Okay? I don't think that it was cool and okay and awesome. Like, in the terrorism designation is intentionally vague and is a political tool. Okay? That's why if you look at like a place like South Africa, for example, they have open placards about Hezbollah and Hamas, right? Like things that are literally illegal to say and do in a place like the UK, for example. They have fucking banners out in the streets. You know what I mean? They don't give a shit. Terrorism is terrorism in and of itself is a intentionally vague definition. But if we are to point to a definition that I think is appropriate, okay? If we're going to define a term for terrorism, all right, I think intentionally targeting civilians fits that bill, whether it is a state actor or a non-state actor. Okay, that's it. And under that narrow definition that I think most people would agree to, this in and of itself means that America is the arch terrorist, Israel is a massive terrorist. But yes, October 7 would be declared an act of terror by that definition. This does not change the dynamic of apartheid and genocide. Okay? That's it. Even then, like the actions of IRA, the actions of the IRA, or the actions of the ANC's militant wing, or the actions of the FLN could be considered acts of terror individually in and of itself. But the reason why most of those actions are not prosecuted once amends are made, understand the far greater evil is usually the systematic, the maintenance of a violent system. The apartheid in South Africa, that is a ruthless and violent system. That is the far greater problem here. Just like the Viet Minh, the North Vietnamese Liberation Front and its activities in South Vietnam could be considered terrorism. Now, what a lot of people don't understand, however, is that the far greater terrorist in that situation is the American government. Why the fuck are they there? Why are they there? Nat Turner's rebellion, the Great Reverend John Brown. These are all acts of terror, acts of horrifying violence that they've contributed to. And yet, we don't look back at those incidents as the real evil. We look back at the system of chattel slavery as the real evil. What would you say to Ethan that said that the ANC punished those that killed citizens? First and foremost, that's literally what I say. I believe in a Truth and Reconciliation Committee that will appropriately look at every single person that has intentionally killed a civilian and punish them with the necessary punishment that they deserve for doing that. That happens after the apartheid, by the way. That doesn't happen right now. You can't do that right now. There's no way to prosecute this. This is something that I've talked about a lot. The picking and choosing of supporting anti-colonial defense based on vibes and race is so frustrating. Like many Americans will be pro-IRA, but then show them a woman in a hijab and they crash out and justify violence towards them with fear. No, it's the same principle behind Ukraine. Ukraine is a perfect analog here. They look at Ukrainians fighting against the Russian invasion as brave warriors defending Europe from the scourge of Russia. And there is validity to the Ukrainian emancipatory movement. They are they're on the right side. Okay? But God forbid any Palestinian takes up arms against the fucking state of Israel that has killed their whole family. I miss this chat. You chatters are far more informed than 99% of people I meet on a daily basis. If one wanted to send a Twitch streamer a painting, how would one go about this endeavor? You can't. Anyway, Loserbox says, just so we're clear, the violence Mandela took part in was targeting infrastructure. Killing was explicitly avoided. Yeah, except the fucking militant wing of the ANC literally had a practice where they would put tires around collaborators and light them on fucking fire. Okay? Practice called necklacing. The reason why people don't talk about that, the reason why people don't care about that, FBI has been given a full report on you at HasanAbi. Why are you even saying this in the chat? They're probably in here right now. Oh no, what will I do? A big difference of understanding is that you don't condone civilian violence, but you understand where it comes from during an asymmetrical conflict. Genocide is historical analysis, something he has never understood. Remember the Bin Laden 9/11 crash out? No, but the irony is he did understand it when I was explaining to him the concept of blowback with respect to my America Deserved 9/11 comments. That was the first ever interaction that Ethan and I had. Anyway, going back to this, 4 forms of violence were possible. There's sabotage, there's guerrilla warfare, there's terrorism, and there's open rebellion. To adopt the first method. Sabotage did not involve loss of life, and it offered the best hope for future race relations. Bitterness will be kept to a minimum, and if the policy bore fruit. Experience convinced us that rebellion would offer the government limitless opportunities for the indiscriminate slaughter of our people. But it was precisely because the soil of South Africa is already drenched with blood of innocent Africans that we felt it our duty to make preparations as a long-term undertaking to use force in order to defend ourselves against force. Loserbox is a weapons-grade Hosber account now. Just today, he was workshopping arguments for Ethan could make while watching the Cedar debate and arguing that shootings at the Great March of Return were justified because people were too close to the fence. Yeah, I don't think people understand how, like, when they get so brain broken about Hosber, they don't understand how repulsive that looks to the average person. Like, that's not the brilliant mind of someone. That's just like being depraved enough to openly entertain shooting the kneecaps off of fucking children, as the Israeli occupying force openly said they did. All whites undergo compulsory military training, but no such training was given to Africans. It was, in our view, essential to build up a nucleus of trained men who would be able to provide the leadership which would be required if guerrilla warfare started. We had to prepare for such a situation before it became too late to make proper preparations. It was also necessary to build up nucleus of men trained in civil administration and other professions. Yeah, here, I'm 42 knees in one day. Israeli snipers open up about shooting Gaza protesters. Over 200 Palestinians were killed and nearly 8,000 were injured during the almost 2 years of weekly protests at the Israeli-Gaza border. Israeli army snipers tell their stories. This is from Haaretz. Okay. This is what he had to say.
Well, people say, people look at South Africa.
I do not condone the killing of civilians, which is why obviously I'm upset about what Israel is doing.
Sure. The part that I don't like about people say, like, I feel like people sweep for Hamas by saying, like, what do you expect, right? But the truth is that people use South Africa as...
What are you saying? Sweep? Like, he's using T terminology. When he's talking about fucking political commentary, an issue, a real issue, he says sweep. People sweep for Hamas. This isn't Nicholas Eat Oreos talking about Destiny's sex crimes, you fucking psycho. What are you talking about, sweep? For those of you, the adults in here that don't know what sweeping is, okay? Sweeping is, I guess, like terminology that like T channels use when they're talking about gossip, and people that actually hide, sweep things under the rug, okay? Hiding key elements of a story in an effort to defend a problematic individual. T channel, like TEA, like drama channels. It means like cleanup. Ethan used the word Israeli support for genocide yesterday, but now he has a problem when it's used for Hamas. Odd, maybe he didn't notice. I know. Sweeping it under the rug. That's what it is.
As an example, what South Africa shows is that you don't need to commit a violent war against civilians to liberate yourself.
Well, I mean, let's
see. This is unfortunately, this is a barrage of dumb shit that Ethan is throwing in Sam's direction, and Sam does not respond in the way that I would in this circumstance, to be like, you're wrong. The ANC had a militant wing called the MK, which Nelson Mandela directly created after going to Algeria to get military training, and then immediately got arrested after coming back from Algeria for this attempt at militancy. Nelson Mandela numerous times was asked to denounce violence that MK was engaging in, and he said no. They extended his prison sentence instead of commuting it because of his refusal to denounce violence. Okay? The idea that like Nelson Mandela abhorred violence or whatever is so stupid. Yes, the South African liberation included a lot of violence all over the region. And yeah, Nelson Mandela himself has also said